The Victari ship came down from the night sky like a falling star. It was big and dark, shaped like a blade cutting through the clouds. The people of Kepler 7 had never seen anything like it before. They stood in their fields and watched it land beyond the eastern hills. Some of them ran. Most of them just stared. Yuna was in the medical building when she heard the first screams. She was checking the medicine supplies and counting bandages. The sound made her stop. It was not a normal scream. It was the kind of scream that came from real fear. She dropped everything and ran to the window. Outside, creatures were moving through the colony. They were tall, maybe 3 meters high. Their bodies were covered in thick gray scales. They had 4 arms and legs that bent backward like a bird's legs. Their faces were flat with no nose, just 2 slits. Their eyes were yellow and cold. They moved fast. Faster than any animal Yuna had ever seen. The Victari were hunters. Everyone in the galaxy knew about them. They traveled from world to world, taking what they wanted: food, supplies, technology, sometimes living beings. They were predators, the most dangerous kind. They hunted because it was in their nature. Yuna watched as 2 of them grabbed a farmer named Old Day. He tried to fight back with his shovel. One of the Victari simply took the shovel from his hands and threw it away. Then they dragged him toward their ship. Yuna's hands were shaking. She knew she should hide. She knew she should be quiet. But she was a medic. She had promised to help people. She grabbed her medical bag and ran outside. The colony was in chaos. People were running in every direction. The Victari were moving through the streets, collecting everything. They took food from the storage buildings. They took power cells from the generator station. They took livestock from the farms. And they took people. Not everyone. Just some. The young ones, the strong ones, the ones who looked useful. Yuna saw her friend Hana being pulled toward the ship. Hana was crying and calling for help. Yuna ran toward her without thinking. She knew it was stupid. She knew she could not fight these creatures. But she ran anyway. A Victari turned and saw her coming. It made a sound, something between a growl and a laugh. It reached out with one of its 4 arms and caught Yuna by the neck. She could not breathe. The creature lifted her off the ground like she weighed nothing. Its yellow eyes looked at her with curiosity, like a cat looking at a mouse. Then it saw her medical bag. It made another sound. This one different. It looked at the bag. Then at Yuna. It said something in its own language. Another Victari came over and looked at the bag too. They talked to each other in quick, sharp sounds. The first one put Yuna down but did not let go of her arm. It pointed at the bag, then at itself. It wanted to know what she was. Yuna understood. They wanted to know if she was useful. Medic, she said, pointing at herself. I help sick people. I fix wounds. The Victari did not understand her words, but they understood her meaning. A being that could heal others was valuable. They did not throw her away. Instead, they dragged her toward the ship, along with Hana. On the way, Yuna saw Taeho. He was the colony's engineer. A quiet man who spent most of his time fixing machines. He was being held by 2 Victari. His face was bloody from a cut on his forehead, but his eyes were clear and focused. When he saw Yuna, he gave her a small nod. It was not a greeting. It was something else. It was a promise. The inside of the Victari ship was dark and cold. It smelled like blood and metal. They threw the captured humans into a large room with metal walls. There were about 30 people there, all from the colony. Some were crying. Some were silent. Old Day was sitting in the corner, holding his arm. It was broken. Yuna went to him immediately. She opened her medical bag and started working. She set the bone as best as she could and wrapped it tight. Day looked at her with grateful eyes. Why did they take us? He asked. What do they want? I do not know, Yuna said. But we are alive. That means something. Taeho came over and sat next to them. He was watching the door, studying the way it opened and closed. They are predators, he said quietly. They take what they need. Food, supplies, workers. Then why keep us alive? Hana asked. She had stopped crying, but her voice was still shaking. Because we are useful alive, Teho said. Dead, we are just meat. Alive, we can work. We can fix things. We can heal others. He looked at Yuna. That is why they kept you. They saw your bag. The ship started to move. Yuna could feel it lifting off the ground. Through a small window in the wall, she could see Kepler-7 getting smaller and smaller. Her home, her life, everything she had built in the last 5 years. It was all disappearing below her. What do we do now? Someone asked. No one answered. What could they do? The Victari were stronger, faster, and had better weapons. They were on a ship they did not understand, going to a place they did not know. They were prey. They had been caught. But Yuna noticed something. The Victari had stopped moving. They had stopped hunting. They had taken what they wanted, and now they were satisfied. Their cargo holds were full. Their hunt was over. They were returning to wherever they came from, happy with their catch. This was how predators worked. They hunted when they were hungry. They stopped when they were full. They did not think about the future. They did not plan for revenge. They did not hold anger in their hearts. Once they were satiated, they were done. Yuna looked at Teho. His eyes were still focused on the door. He was not crying. He was not scared. He was thinking. Planning. Waiting. Predators stop when they are satiated, Yuna said quietly. Teho turned to look at her. A small smile appeared on his face. It was not a happy smile. It was something colder. Something darker. Yes, he said. Predators stop. But we are not predators. We are human. In the corner of the room, Old Day closed his eyes. Hana pulled her knees to her chest. The other captives sat in silence, feeling the ship carry them away from everything they knew. But Yuna and Teho did not give up. They sat together in the dark room, watching and waiting. The Victari thought the hunt was over. They thought they had won. They did not understand that for humans, the hunt was just beginning. Outside the window, the stars moved slowly past. Somewhere out there, other Victari ships were doing the same thing. Raiding colonies, taking what they wanted, leaving when they were satisfied. It had worked for them for thousands of years. No one had ever fought back. No one had ever followed them. No one had ever refused to accept defeat. But the Victari had never taken humans before. They did not know what they had brought onto their ship. They did not know that humans were different from every other species they had hunted. They would learn soon enough. The difference between predators and humans was simple. Predators stopped when they were satiated. Humans did not stop until the threat was gone forever. 3 days passed on the Victari ship. The humans learned the routine quickly. Twice a day, the guards would open the door and throw in food. It was not good food, just some kind of gray paste that tasted like nothing. But it kept them alive, and that was all that mattered. Yuna spent her time taking care of the wounded. There were several people with broken bones and cuts. She cleaned their wounds with water from her bag and wrapped them with torn cloth from her own clothes. She worked without rest, moving from person to person, doing what she could with almost nothing. Teho spent his time watching. He watched the guards when they came in. He counted how many seconds the door stayed open. He studied the way they moved, the weapons they carried, the sounds they made. He memorized everything. On the 4th day, something changed. The ship stopped moving. Through the small window, Yuna could see another Victari ship floating nearby. It was smaller than their ship, probably some kind of supply vessel. The two ships connected with a long tube, and soon the guards started moving cargo from one ship to the other. They are transferring supplies, Teho said quietly. This is our chance. Yuna looked at him. Our chance for what? To get out of this room. Hana heard them and moved closer. Are you crazy? Where would we go? We are on their ship. There is nowhere to run. Taeho shook his head. I do not want to run. I want to hurt them. The words hung in the air. Some of the other captives looked up. Old Day opened his eyes and stared at the young engineer. Hurt them how? Yuna asked. Taeho pointed at the ceiling. This ship runs on power. Power comes from somewhere. If I can find the power systems, I can damage them. Make things stop working. Create problems. The more problems they have, the weaker they become. And then what? Then we keep hurting them until they cannot hurt us anymore. Yuna thought about it. It was dangerous. It was probably impossible. But sitting here, waiting to be sold or eaten, or whatever the Vectari planned to do with them, that was also dangerous. At least Taeho's plan gave them something to do. How do we get out? She asked. Taeho smiled. The guards are busy with the supply transfer. I have been watching them. When they are focused on something else, they become careless. The door stays open a little longer. They do not watch us as closely. As if to prove his point, the door opened at that moment. 2 guards came in, with the usual food paste. But this time, they were talking to each other, distracted by something. They did not close the door right away. They stood there, arguing about something in their own language. Taeho moved without warning. He was fast. Much faster than Yuna expected. He grabbed a piece of broken metal that he had hidden under his shirt and threw it at one of the guards. It hit the guard in the eye. The creature screamed and fell backward. The other guard turned, surprised. That moment of surprise was enough. Taeho jumped at it, wrapping his arms around one of its forearms and biting down hard on its throat. The guard made a terrible sound and tried to shake him off. Yuna did not think. She just moved. She grabbed the fallen guard's weapon, some kind of metal stick with a sharp end, and swung it at the second guard's legs. The blow was weak, but it made the creature lose its balance. It fell, and Taeho finished it with the broken metal piece. Everything happened in less than 10 seconds. 2 guards were down, and the door was still open. Go, Taeho said. Everyone who wants to fight, follow me. Everyone else, stay here and wait. About half of the captives stood up. The rest stayed sitting, too scared or too weak to move. Yuna understood. Not everyone could fight. Not everyone wanted to. That was okay. Taeho led the way out of the room. The hallway outside was empty. The supply transfer was still happening, and most of the guards were busy. They moved quickly and quietly, following Taeho's lead. Where are we going? Yuna whispered. Down, Taeho said. The power systems are always at the bottom of the ship. That is basic engineering. They found a ladder and climbed down. The ship was bigger than Yuna had imagined. There were rooms everywhere, filled with strange equipment and stolen goods from 100 different worlds. She saw technology she did not recognize. Art from alien cultures. Containers filled with who knew what. Finally, they reached the lowest level. Here, the air was hot and filled with the sound of machines. Large tubes ran along the walls, carrying energy to different parts of the ship. Taeho's eyes lit up when he saw them. This is it, he said. This is the heart of the ship. He went to work immediately. He opened panels and looked inside. He pulled out wires and reconnected them in different ways. He broke some things and changed others. Yuna did not understand what he was doing, but she could see the results. Lights started flashing. Alarms started ringing. Something was going wrong, and the Vectari would soon know about it. We need to move, Taeho said. They will come to fix this. We cannot be here when they arrive. They climbed back up, moving faster now. Behind them, they could hear shouting. The Vectari had discovered the problem. They were confused and angry. This was not supposed to happen. Their prey was supposed to stay quiet and accept their fate. Taeho led the group to a storage room filled with food supplies. It was a good place to hide, and it gave them access to real food for the first time in days. They ate quickly, filling their stomachs with stolen alien fruit and preserved meat. What did you do down there? Hana asked. I damaged their cooling system, Taeho said. The power core generates a lot of heat. Without cooling, it will start to fail. They can fix it, but it will take time, and while they fix it, other things will break. Yuna understood now. Taeho was not trying to destroy the ship all at once. He was trying to weaken it slowly, like a disease eating away at a body from inside. Every problem he created would need resources to fix. Every repair would take time and attention away from other things. Over the next few days, they kept moving, kept hiding, kept attacking. Taeho found new systems to damage. Yuna took care of the wounded when the fighting got dangerous. Sometimes they lost people. A man named Hyun was caught by the guards and killed. A woman named Un was injured so badly that she could not walk anymore. But they did not stop. They could not stop. The Vectari commander was confused. In all his years of hunting, he had never seen anything like this. Prey was supposed to give up when caught. Prey was supposed to wait quietly for their fate. These humans did not follow the rules. He ordered his guards to find the humans and kill them. But the humans were hard to find. They knew the ship almost as well as the Vectari now. They hid in places no one thought to look. They attacked when no one expected it. They refused to surrender. The commander did not understand. He had given them food and water. He had not killed them all. What more did they want? Why did they keep fighting? He thought about it for a long time. Finally, he called one of his officers. "These humans," he said. "What do we know about them?" The officer checked his records. "Not much, Commander. They are from a small colony. They do not have advanced technology. They are weak and slow compared to us. Then why do they not stop?" The officer had no answer. Neither did anyone else on the ship, but Yuna and Taeho knew the answer. Predators stopped when they were satiated. Humans stopped when the threat was eliminated. And the threat was still very much alive. The ship had become a battlefield. What was once a simple transport vessel for stolen goods and captured prey had turned into something much more dangerous. The Vectari moved carefully now, always watching the shadows, always expecting an attack. Yuna counted their numbers. Of the original 30 humans taken from Kepler, 7, 18 were still alive. Some had died in fights with the guards, others had been captured again and executed, but 18 remained, and those 18 were becoming something dangerous. On the 10th day since their escape, Taeho made a discovery. There were other prisoners on the ship. The humans were not the only ones the Vectari had captured. In the lower decks, behind heavy metal doors, there were cages filled with beings from other worlds. Taeho found them while looking for more systems to damage. He heard sounds coming from behind a wall and investigated. What he found changed everything. There were about 40 of them. Different species, different shapes, different sizes. Some looked almost like humans, with 2 arms and 2 legs and faces that could show emotion. Others were stranger, with too many limbs or no limbs at all, with eyes in wrong places or no eyes at all. They were all scared. They had all been taken by the Vectari. They had all given up hope. Taeho came back to the group with the news. "We have allies," he said. "Or we could have, if we free them." Old Day shook his head. "How can they help us? They are prisoners, just like us. They are probably weaker than us." "Maybe," Taeho said. "But 40 more bodies means 40 more targets for the Vectari to watch. It means more confusion, more chaos, more problems for them to solve." Yuna thought about it. "It also means more people to feed, more people to protect, more people who might get us killed." "Yes," Taeho admitted. "But we are running out of options. We have damaged their ship, but they are fixing it faster than we can break it. We have killed some of their guards, but they have many more. If we keep going like this, they will eventually catch us all." He was right. Yuna knew he was right. They needed help, even if that help came from beings they did not understand. That night, they freed the other prisoners. It was not easy. The cages were locked with Vectari technology, which Taeho did not fully understand. But he was smart and determined. And after 2 hours of work, He figured out how to open them. The aliens came out slowly, confused and scared. They did not know what was happening. Some of them tried to run away. Others just stood there, waiting for someone to tell them what to do. Yuna stepped forward. She did not know if they could understand her, but she tried anyway. "We are fighting back," she said, speaking slowly and clearly. "The Vectari took us, just like they took you. We will not accept that. We will not give up. If you want to fight with us, you are welcome. If you want to hide, we understand. But we will not stop until these creatures can never hurt anyone again." Most of the aliens did not understand her words, but they understood her meaning. The way she stood, the fire in her eyes, the determination in her voice. These things did not need translation. A creature that looked like a tall insect stepped forward. It made clicking sounds with its mouth, and then, to Yuna's surprise, it spoke in broken human language. "I am called Keeper of Winds," it said. "My people were traders before the Vectari took us. I know their language. I will help you." Another alien came forward, this one short and round with blue skin. It did not speak, but it picked up a piece of broken metal and held it like a weapon. Its meaning was clear. One by one, the other prisoners made their choice. Some decided to hide, to wait and see what happened. But most decided to fight. They were tired of being prey. They were tired of being afraid. If the humans were willing to lead, they were willing to follow. Over the next few days, the resistance grew. Tejo taught the aliens how to damage the ship's systems. Keeper of Winds translated his instructions into different languages. Yuna organized teams to care for the wounded and to distribute the food they stole from Vectari supplies. It was not a perfect system. There were problems. Some aliens did not work well with others. Some could not follow instructions. Some were so traumatized by their captivity that they could barely function, but they made progress. Every day, they hit the Vectari a little harder. They cut power to important rooms. They blocked doors with broken equipment. They ambushed guards in dark hallways. The Vectari commander was losing his mind. In 20 years of hunting, he had never faced anything like this. His ship was falling apart around him. His crew was dying. His cargo was fighting back. "Just kill them all," he ordered. "Every prisoner, every human, every alien. Kill them and be done with it." His officers hesitated. "Commander, the cargo is valuable. If we kill them all, this hunt will be a total loss. I do not care about the value anymore. I want them dead." But killing them was not easy. The prisoners knew the ship now. They knew every hiding place, every shortcut, every weakness. When the Vectari came hunting, the prisoners disappeared. When the Vectari relaxed, the prisoners attacked. Tejo was building weapons now. Real weapons, not just broken pieces of metal. He had found the ship's repair station and had taken everything useful. He made sharp blades from cutting tools. He made clubs from heavy pipes. He even managed to make a few simple bombs from chemicals he found in the storage rooms. Yuna worried about him sometimes. The quiet engineer from Kepler-7 was changing. There was something hard in his eyes now. Something that had not been there before. He did not joke anymore. He did not rest. He just kept working, kept planning, kept fighting. "You need to sleep," she told him one night. "I will sleep when this is over," he said. "You will make mistakes if you are too tired. Mistakes get people killed." He looked at her for a long moment. Then he nodded and lay down on the floor. But even in sleep, his hands kept moving, like he was building something in his dreams. The Vectari were losing crew members daily now. Some were killed in attacks. Others were injured so badly that they could not work anymore. The ship needed a crew of 50 to run properly. They were down to 32. The commander tried to understand what was happening. He captured one of the aliens and questioned it. The alien, a small creature with gray fur, told him everything. "The humans lead us," it said. "They do not stop. They do not give up. They say we will fight until you are all dead or we are all dead. There is no other way. The commander killed the alien in anger. But the alien's words stayed with him. Why did the humans not stop? They had no reason to keep fighting. The commander had offered food, water, even better living conditions if they surrendered. Normal prey would accept such an offer. Normal prey understood when they were beaten. But these humans were not normal prey. They did not follow the rules. They did not think like predators. Predators hunted when they were hungry and stopped when they were full. Predators measured everything in terms of immediate need. Get food. Eat food. Rest. Hunt again. It was simple. It was natural. Humans were different. Humans remembered. Humans planned. Humans held on to things long after a predator would have forgotten them. Anger, grief, the desire for justice, the need for revenge. These things did not fade with time. They grew stronger. The commander was beginning to understand, but understanding came too late. In the depths of the ship, Tejo finished his latest creation. It was a bomb, bigger than any he had made before. Big enough to destroy the ship's main power core. When do we use it? Hana asked. Tejo smiled that cold, hard smile. When the time is right. The day of the final attack came on the 23rd day since the humans had first escaped from their cage. By then, the ship was barely working. Half the lights were broken. The air filtration system was failing. Power kept cutting out in different sections. The Vectari crew was exhausted. They had not slept properly in weeks. They were always watching, always waiting, always afraid. The hunters had become the hunted, and they did not know how to handle it. Tejo gathered everyone in a storage room deep in the ship. There were over 40 of them now, humans and aliens together. Some were wounded. Some were tired. All of them were ready. Today we take the engineering section, Tejo said. If we control engineering, we control the ship. The Vectari cannot fly, cannot fight, cannot do anything without power. Once we have engineering, they will have no choice but to surrender or die. Keeper of Winds translated his words for the aliens who did not understand human language. There were nods and clicks and other sounds of agreement. Old Day raised his hand. His broken arm had healed badly, but he could still fight. What about the bomb? Will we need it? Maybe, Tejo said. If we cannot take engineering, we will destroy it. That will cripple the ship completely. The Vectari will drift in space until they starve, or until someone else finds them. Yuna did not like that plan. Destroying the power core would probably kill everyone on the ship, including the humans and their allies. But she understood why Tejo had made the bomb. Sometimes the only way to win was to make sure no one else won either. They moved out in small groups. The engineering section was at the center of the ship, protected by thick walls and heavy doors. There were always guards there. More guards than anywhere else. The Vectari knew how important it was. The first group, led by the blue-skinned alien they called Stone, attacked from the north corridor. They made a lot of noise, drawing the guards' attention. The guards moved to stop them, just as Tejo had planned. The second group, led by Hana, attacked from the south. More guards ran to respond. The Vectari commander was screaming orders, trying to organize his people. But everything was happening too fast. The third group, led by Tejo and Yuna, used the ventilation system. They crawled through narrow metal tubes, squeezing through spaces that were barely big enough for a human body. The Vectari were too large to follow them. They came out inside the engineering section, behind the main line of defense. There were 5 guards inside. Tejo's group had 8 people. The fight was short and brutal. 2 humans died, including a young man named Jun, who had been a farmer on Kepler 7. But when it was over, the humans controlled engineering. Tejo immediately went to work. He locked the doors from inside. He shut down power to the weapons systems. He turned off the engines. The ship was now dead in space, floating without direction. Outside, the remaining Vectari guards pounded on the doors. They tried to break through, but the doors were too strong. The commander's voice came through the communication system. "Humans," he said. His voice was calm, but Yuna could hear the anger underneath. "You have made your point. You are strong. You are dangerous. We understand. Let us negotiate." Teho looked at Yuna. She was the one who spoke to people, who made decisions about things that were not machines. He built things and broke things. She dealt with living beings. Yuna picked up the communication device. "We are listening. Release the engineering section," the commander said. "Stop fighting. In return, I will release all of you. Humans, aliens, everyone. I will drop you at the nearest neutral station. You can go home, back to your lives. The hunt is over." Some of the aliens in the room made hopeful sounds. Going home. It was what they all wanted, was it not? Freedom, safety, a return to normal life. Yuna thought about it. She thought about Kepler-7. She thought about the people who had died during the raid, the ones who had been killed by the Vectari for resisting. She thought about the farmer who had been shot while trying to protect his children. She thought about the old woman who had been crushed under a falling building. She thought about all the blood that had been spilled. "No," she said. Teho looked at her with surprise. So did everyone else. "No?" he asked. "No," Yuna repeated. She spoke into the communication device. "Commander, I do not accept your offer." Silence from the other end. Then, "Why? This is a fair deal. You get what you want. We get what we want. Everyone survives. 12 people died when you raided Kepler-7, Yuna said. 12 innocent people who were just trying to live their lives. You killed them like they were nothing. Like they were insects under your feet. You do not get to walk away from that. They died because they resisted." The commander said. "If they had surrendered quietly, they would still be alive. Their deaths are their own fault." "No." Yuna's voice was hard now. Harder than Teho had ever heard it. "Their deaths are your fault. You came to our world uninvited. You took what did not belong to you. You killed people who were only trying to defend their homes. That is not hunting. That is murder. What do you want then? Revenge? Blood for blood?" Yuna paused. Did she want revenge? Part of her did. Part of her wanted to kill every Vectari on this ship and feel nothing. But that was not why she was fighting. "I want justice," she said. "I want you to face consequences for what you did. I want the galaxy to know that you cannot just raid human colonies and walk away. I want other predators to think twice before they attack our people." The commander laughed. It was an ugly sound. "You are one human on one ship. You cannot change the galaxy." "Maybe not," Yuna said. "But I can change you." She turned off the communication device and looked at her people. They were watching her with mixed expressions. Some looked proud. Others looked scared. Old Day was crying quietly. "Yuna," Hana said softly. "Are you sure about this? We could go home. We could see our families again." "I know," Yuna said. "But if we accept this deal, we teach the Vectari that they can do whatever they want as long as they offer freedom afterward. We teach them that human lives are cheap. We teach them that we are prey." She took a deep breath. "I will not teach them that. I refuse." Teho smiled. It was not his usual cold smile. It was something warmer, something like respect. "Then we continue," he said. Keeper of Winds stepped forward. "My people have been hunted by the Vectari for generations. We always accepted our fate. We thought there was no other way." The tall insect creature bowed its head. "You humans have shown us something different. We will fight with you until the end." One by one, the others agreed. Not everyone was happy about it. Some wanted to take the deal, to go home, and forget this nightmare. But they stayed anyway. They trusted Yuna's judgment. They trusted that she was doing the right thing. The commander tried several more times to negotiate. He offered more food, better treatment, even money. He offered to drop them closer to human space. He offered to let them keep some of the cargo as payment for their trouble. Each time, Yuna refused. Finally, the commander stopped talking. The communication system went silent. The pounding on the engineering door stopped. The Vektari had given up trying to negotiate. "What now?" Hana asked. "Now we wait," Tejo said. "They have no power, no weapons, no engines. They cannot call for help. They cannot escape. Eventually, they will have to come to us." Yuna looked around at her people. They were tired and scared and hurt, but they were also proud. They had done something no one thought possible. They had fought back against one of the most feared predator species in the galaxy, and they had won. Well, not won yet, but they were close. "Get some rest," she said. "The final battle is coming." The final battle lasted 3 hours. The Vektari commander gathered his remaining crew and launched one last attack on the engineering section. They used cutting tools to break through the walls, avoiding the locked doors. They came through the ceiling, the floor, and the ventilation system all at once. It was brutal. The fighting was hand-to-hand, with no room for tactics or strategy. Humans and aliens fought alongside each other, using whatever weapons they had. Tejo's bombs and blades proved their worth. Yuna's medical training kept people alive long enough to keep fighting. The Vektari were stronger and faster. But there were fewer of them now, and they were tired and demoralized. The former prey fought with a fury that shocked them. These beings should have surrendered long ago. They should have accepted their fate. Instead, they fought like they had nothing to lose, because they did not have anything to lose. Not anymore. Yuna found herself face to face with the commander himself. He was massive, towering over her with all 4 arms raised. His yellow eyes burned with rage and confusion. "Why?" he demanded. "Why do you not stop? I offered you freedom. I offered you everything." Yuna's hands were shaking. She had a blade in her right hand, one of Tejo's creations. It was small compared to the commander's claws. "You killed my people," she said. "You came to our home and killed innocent people. Did you think we would just forget that?" "They were prey," the commander said, like it was the most obvious thing in the world. "Prey dies. That is the natural order." "No," Yuna said. "That is your order, not ours." The commander lunged at her. Yuna was too slow to dodge, but she did not have to. Tejo appeared from nowhere, tackling the commander from the side. They fell together, crashing into a control panel. What happened next was not pretty. The commander was stronger, but Tejo was faster and more desperate. Yuna joined in. And then Old Day. And then Keeper of Winds. 4 against 1, and still the commander nearly won. In the end, it was Hana who finished it. She had picked up a Vektari weapon during the fighting. A long, sharp blade that hummed with energy. While the others held the commander down, she drove the blade through his chest. The commander made a sound that was half growl and half sigh. His yellow eyes looked up at the ceiling. "Impossible," he whispered. "You are just prey." "No," Yuna said, kneeling beside him. "We are human." The commander died with confusion still written on his face. After that, the remaining Vektari surrendered quickly. There were only 11 of them left, and none of them wanted to fight anymore. They dropped their weapons and fell to their knees. Their eyes were empty. They did not understand what had happened or how, but they knew they had lost. Tejo took control of the ship. He restored power to the engines and navigation systems. He sent out a distress signal on human frequencies, explaining what had happened. Then he pointed the ship toward the nearest human station and started flying. The journey took 2 weeks. During that time, Yuna tended to the wounded, human and alien alike. Old Day told stories about life on Kepler 7 to anyone who would listen. Hana spent most of her time staring out the window at the stars, not speaking to anyone. Tejo barely slept. He was afraid the Vektari would try something, would find some way to take back their ship. But they did not. They sat in their cells, quiet and broken, waiting for whatever fate awaited them. Keeper of Winds often came to talk with Yuna. The tall insect creature was fascinated by humans. In all my years of life, it said, I have never seen beings like you. You do not follow the rules of the universe. Prey runs or hides, or surrenders. Predators hunt, and kill, and take. But you humans, you are something else entirely. What are we? Yuna asked. Keeper of Winds thought for a long time. You are consequences, it finally said. You are what happens when someone does wrong and thinks they can escape justice. You are the answer to every act of cruelty that was supposed to be forgotten. 1. Yuna did not know how to respond to that. It sounded too grand for what they had done. They were just colonists, farmers, and engineers, and medics. They had not wanted to fight, they had just refused to surrender. Maybe that was enough. They arrived at Human Station Proxima 1-2 on the 38th day after the raid on Kepler 7. News of their story had already spread through the communication networks. When the ship docked, there were hundreds of people waiting for them. Reporters from a dozen species asked questions. Military officers wanted to know everything about the Vectari ship and crew. Politicians made speeches about human courage and determination. It was overwhelming. Yuna and Tejo stood at the center of the crowd. They were tired and dirty and covered in scars. But they were alive. What happens now? Tejo asked. I do not know, Yuna said honestly. I suppose we go home, rebuild. Try to remember what normal life feels like. Can you? Tejo looked at his hands. They were stained with things he did not want to think about. Can you go back to being a simple colony medic after all this? Yuna thought about it. No. She probably could not. Too much had changed. She had changed. But that was okay. Change was not always bad. We will figure it out, she said. The news of what happened on the Vectari ship spread quickly through the galaxy. It was not a big story at first. Just one ship, one crew, one group of escaped prisoners. But people kept talking about it. They talked about how the humans had refused to surrender even when they had nothing to gain. They talked about how the humans had organized other species to fight alongside them. They talked about how the humans had rejected freedom when it meant letting crimes go unpunished. Most of all, they talked about what the humans had said when asked why they kept fighting. Predators stop when they are satiated, the human woman had said. Humans stop when the threat is eliminated. It became a warning passed from ship to ship, from world to world, from species to species. Do not raid human colonies. Do not take human prisoners. Do not assume that humans will accept defeat, because humans do not think like predators. They do not forget. They do not forgive. They do not stop. The Vectari learned this lesson the hard way. In the years that followed, they avoided human space completely. Other predator species did the same. It was not that humans were the strongest or the fastest or the most advanced. It was that humans never stopped. They would chase you across the galaxy if they had to. They would spend years planning revenge. They would sacrifice everything for the chance to hurt you back. That was what made humans dangerous. Not their bodies, not their technology, their minds, their memories, their refusal to accept injustice. Yuna returned to Kepler 7 eventually. The colony had been rebuilt during her absence. New buildings stood where old ones had fallen. New families had moved in to fill the empty homes. Life continued. She became the head of the colony's medical center. She healed wounds and delivered babies and helped old people pass peacefully. Normal things. Ordinary things. But she never forgot what she had learned on the Vectari ship. Tejo stayed on Proxima 1-2. He joined the station's engineering team and started working on defense systems. He wanted to make sure no human colony would ever be as vulnerable as Kepler 7 had been. He worked day and night, driven by memories of what happened when humans could not defend themselves. Hana traveled. She visited world after world, telling her story to anyone who would listen. She became a symbol of human resistance, a reminder that even ordinary people could do extraordinary things when they refused to give up. Old Day died peacefully 3 years later, surrounded by his grandchildren. His last words were about the day they escaped from the cage. He said it was the proudest moment of his life. and the story kept spreading. It became legend. It became myth. It became a warning that echoed through the stars. The difference between predators and humans was simple. Predators stopped when satiated. Humans did not stop until the threat was gone forever. And that made all the difference in the galaxy.